Hi, everybody. I'm Ed.
And I'm Barb, and we're the ARTyRV Glass Studio channel. Welcome.
Hey.
Wow, in unison.
We didn't even
did
practice
that pretty
that.
good. No, we didn't even practice. Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see everyone here tonight. We got a big crowd here, and we hope you're having a great week and haven't been affected by the storms.
Yeah, we had we had a little tropical storm blow in actually this afternoon. Came ashore just a little bit east of us, and it's out of here now. The rain's gone. We had about 5 inches of rain, and hopefully everyone up in North Carolina, western North Carolina, is heading to you. But it's just a rain event and a little bit of wind, so be safe.
Yeah. So if you have
That's it for my weather report. No, I'm sorry.
If you have any questions, just put them in the chat with a Q, and we'll be happy to answer them. We're talking about community tonight, and it should be a nice conversation. And if you have any input in that, just put it in the chat.
Well,
Right,
I
Ed?
think, there's so many different ways you can look at community. And community, for so many years, we just really went into our community and did everything that we possibly could for the town and trying to do things. And we started an art group 14, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so, community means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And we have been part of our community, not just in the creative world, but as people for 39 years in our community. So
Yeah.
we've done a lot of different things.
The first thing we did was we joined our local Chamber of Commerce and got to know the people.
Of our community.
Of our community. And we got to know all the people, the movers and the shakers in the community. Those are great people to know. And if you're looking for space, if you need some advice on business,
Right.
Chamber of Commerce is a great business.
I think it is. And if you're not a member of your local Chamber of Commerce, number one, they would appreciate you joining the chamber. But there's so many things that they can help you with your business just because of all the access they have to so many different things to help businesses with. Because actually the Chamber of Commerce, that's what they're all about in your community, and they'll be happy to help. So.
That's right. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Ed, what you got going on this week?
Well, we just put the finishing touches tomorrow on the castnet window, and then we'll be installing it in Merle's Inlet next week. Mm-hmm. And we've started on the Goat Island window.
Yep.
And so that's our next project, phase 3. We'll be getting that done as quick as we can. This is one of the 2 smaller windows that we have to do. They're not like 14, 15 feet long. These are only around 9 feet. And Barb, I was thinking about that the other day. If you take 42 inches by 4 foot that you don't have to build for a window, there's a lot of time that it frees up to get that one done even quicker.
Right.
So we started out with 26 feet, and now the castnet is 14 feet, and now we're going to 8 feet, and I'm so excited.
So he starts at the big one and then works his way down to the little
Sure.
one, so it doesn't seem so
much
work.
Right, and the way it works across the restaurant, it looks better that way, I think.
Yeah,
So,
I think so too. 'Cause
Rather
it
than
makes
just-
more of an impact.
right, exactly, and that's
Yes.
what we want. We want that pow.
Yeah. So
Hey, Barb, we got a lot of people tuning in tonight. I want to say hi to everybody, not just single anyone out, but I see that
All of those
Magali's
people are
here,
here.
Larry Mary's here. Hey, Larry, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Bobby Schneider. And guess what, everybody? Ray's in the house tonight. Let's give him a big thumbs up because
Hey, Ray.
he does a lot of work for all of us, and then we don't even realize it. Ray, thank you. I hope you're well, sir.
I was gonna, let's see, love my t-shirt. Okay, thank you. I'll take a picture of it if you need it, and I'll send it to you. This is
It's a
Life
mosaic.
Is Good.
It's
Life
gorgeous.
Is Good. Yeah, this is a mosaic. You can buy these at Life is Good.
And this
they
is a
don't
Life is Good,
sponsor
yeah.
us, but I'd love for them to.
Yeah, we'd love to have them as Life is Good as a sponsor.
Yeah.
Y'all, Barbara's t-shirt is absolutely gorgeous, but I'm gonna tell you, the fabric that these t-shirts are made from is so much more incredible than the designs. They're so comfortable.
Yeah, we could do a stained glass window out of this. Actually, it's pretty.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay.
It is.
So if you have any questions, we've got a make and take this Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. It's full though, right?
Yeah, it's full. Make and take class is one of our most popular classes. Ed does all the glass cutting and puts them into little kits. And so he just teaches the soldering.
Well, the grinding, copper
Oh, the
foil,
grinding,
everything but the
copper
cutting the
foiling,
glass.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And then we finish it and we do all that in 4 hours.
Yeah, they do it. And they usually get to take home 2 projects. So it's a really popular class and we sell out real quick.
So we base the 2 projects on how quickly everybody does the first or gets started on the first one. So
let's see, the November glass blowing classes, I released them the 15th, which was yesterday, sold out. So we're going to put some more classes up.
We're going to add some days, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to add some days, probably some Wednesdays. And then the December glass blowing classes will come out October 15th.
Right.
So you can sign up. So look for that newsletter, and it'll have a lot of other information. I think all the stained glass classes for January and February are full too.
I believe they are. Yeah, I believe they are. And we have travelers coming for the classes, so it's awesome. And those of you that are coming that watch our channel, we really look forward to meeting you in person. So.
We'll have a make and take in March, and then we'll have a beginner stained glass class in April and a lead class in May.
In May, right.
Of 2025. Can you believe it?
We're already thinking out there. And and then the electrician's coming this week to get his part of the job done on the furnace, and the
thank you.
gas guys. There we go. And then the gas guys are coming on Monday. So once everything's hooked up, we can get the furnace running, and so it takes 72
Thank you,
hours
Texas Tom.
for the new. Thank you, Tom. I hope that hand's getting better.
Yeah, I saw the.
On your
On
left
Facebook.
hand. I hope you're all right, buddy.
Yeah, I hope you're getting better. I just want to write him a thank you.
That's great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys. We appreciate it.
We appreciate that. Let's see. Do
Lot
we
of
have
thumbs
any
up
questions?
tonight, Ray.
Yeah, look at all the thumbs up.
Yeah, we got a question. Carla's got a question up top,
Oh,
Bart.
yeah. Love your t-shirt. To Ed. Pattern, please. Just kidding, of course. Good.
Oh, my T-shirt. Thank
Oh,
you.
your t-shirt. Is that what you want? Your t-shirt or my t-shirt? To Ed. Pattern, please. Okay. Anyway,
Pattern for my T-shirt
or pattern for my t-shirt.
or Barbara's T-shirt. Pattern, please. In other words, we need to make a pattern. Is that what you would like, Carla? Let me see if we can't.
Lokai. Thank you, Lokai.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. We appreciate that. You guys remember when you do take the time to do a super sticker for us, when our channel grows, you grow, and we appreciate it. And right now we're growing. Growing.
We are. Yeah.
So here we are. I want to give a big shout out to everybody out there. Just kind of waning behind the chat there, and just want to say hi. Want to remind you to please go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, that would be awesome too. We appreciate everything.
Yeah. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Oh, look at there. I got a subscribe button right there.
Right above my head. There you go. Hang on. There we go.
Oh, okay. That's good, right?
Yeah, that's nice, Barb.
And why
A
is
new addition.
Oh, that's not even my cursor. Fooled me a minute. Okay. If you have a question, just put it in the chat. We'll be happy to answer.
I think we'll get some pictures tomorrow while we're flipping the castnet window over, so we should
Yeah,
have
I wanna-
photos next week.
Yes, definitely.
And actually, if I can get everything straightened out, we'll be installing that probably Tuesday of next
Okay.
week.
Cool.
We're in the process now where we've puttied one side of the window.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor and I flipped it over this morning. We'll be puttying the other side tomorrow, and then we will be applying the reinforcing rods, and then it'll be ready to go.
Yeah, we'll be installing. So we'll have a lot of video on that. We have 2 videos in the works
It's just a matter of finding all of the time that we
all
need.
the time, yeah.
That
It's
we
ready to go. Barbara's just got to.
So we had an exciting weekend. We went away and went to a birthday party this weekend.
It was my mom's 90th birthday.
Happy birthday, Joan! One more
and
time.
Mom's here. So
Mom's here with us. So
she's watching the show
from her front row seat.
Her front row seat. So we had a great weekend, and but we were happy to get home and be here tonight with you guys. And Carla's got a question.
Hey, Carla.
If cutting strips, do I still need to rough up sides for foil?
Well, typically, Carla, what happens, when you cut the glass, if you'll just rough it up a little bit and clean it, the foil will stick much better. That's really what you're looking for. Is you're looking for that foil to stick and to stay there. And if you're doing, borders and stuff, you really should take just a moment and I found that when you use the grinder to grind strips, if you don't try to go straight across, it doesn't get as bumpy. If you'll come in and go at an angle with the wheel the wheel turns counterclockwise, and you'll go in your grinder from the right to the left, but do it at an angle rather than straight, and you'll find that it'll actually help you keep those little dips out of it, because unless you have that little the square that goes on the grinding square that actually fits on the grinder, you can't get that straight. It's always going to bobble on you.
So you want to barely touch it and just rough it up.
And go at an angle. Yep.
Yeah, don't spend a lot of time there or you will be sorry. It'll have a little cut.
Yeah, you'll get those little. Actually, if I do it like this, you'll see it. It'll kind of bend. But, so yeah, that's great.
Christine wants to know, when you wire wrap a sun catcher, what size wire is best?
Typically, you want to use 20 or 22 gauge, the smallest wire that you can get to do that with, because two things happen. It's easy to bend, and it'll go into those little crevices, that inside curve that you're working on, and it'll go in there really nice. So if you use 20 or 22 gauge wire, you'll be much better off to hold your sun catchers together. So that's a good question.
Donna wants to know, is hobby cane easy to use for beginners?
Well, hobby cane is easy to use for beginners simply because hobby cane is typically used for the outside or to finish the project. And it's typically only used on small things. I mean, you don't want to use hobby cane on large windows for sure. Mm-hmm. It is easy to work with. It'll teach you a lot about working with lead and mitering and things like that. It's also going to teach you about temperatures, because you have to be very careful when you're soldering it. So a U hobby cane is a great lead to use, and they do
very
make
really
easy to work with. Yeah, for sure. So that's a good question, Donna. Thank you.
Okay. Deborah wants to know, do you use the same size tip on soldering iron for everything? Actually,
I do. I use the same soldering iron, and it's a 5/16 tip, a 5/16 chisel tip. Even when I'm soldering my lead, I feel very comfortable with this iron that I'm using now, and I'm definitely really comfortable with it. It is a 100-watt iron, but it has a little narrower tip than my Weller 100P. So it
has a narrower tip?
It has a little bit narrow, just a 1/16 of an inch, but I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
It reminds me of my Unger iron.
Okay, but when you're working with big lead and when you're working with, wide lead, and when you're working with zinc.
Yeah, well, zinc, let me tell you something about zinc, is you have to flux it, heat it.
But you use a bigger iron.
Yeah, and you definitely use a bigger iron. So if I'm building church windows at a 3/8 or 1/2 inch lead all over the place, then I go up to a 3/8 chisel tip on my my Weller iron, but and that's what I use. So I can work quickly, 1, 2, straight down, straight up. And what that does is that you have to, excuse me, you guys have to give your solder time to melt, because if it looks like it's melted, it's not melted. You have to give it time to melt, straight down and straight up. Guess who's arrived in the house, everybody? It's the girl, she's wet. But yeah, so you want to make sure that when you're soldering that you should use a tip that's comparable to help you solder the profile of lead that you're using.
So you'll match the tip to the profile of the lead.
Yeah.
So mostly he builds window. What is your size lead that you use, like in these windows?
1/4 inch H
that-
round is the largest that I'm using. So
Yeah. So
other
he
than
can
on the
use that
outside.
same tip throughout that.
Right.
That.
And then there's a lot of, curves and intricate pieces, and I find that that smaller tip is, because I've taken the time to miter the lead and make it look nice, that smaller tip allows me to make the solder joint look nice. And remember, it's a really simple thing. When you're soldering, remember that you're working with a soldering iron and not a paintbrush. I was looking at a video the other night, and they're just like smearing.
And that's not going to be a good solder joint.
That's going to be a
You
nasty
have to
solder
have a
joint.
good melt
Straight down,
for strength.
melt, and straight up.
Otherwise, it's no good.
Otherwise, it won't be a soldering joint that will be approved.
Lena wants to know, at what size sun catcher should it be reinforced with wire?
Pretty much all of your sun catchers, because of gravity, should be wrapped in wire, and then you never have to worry about them coming back to you, Lena. I think the only sun catcher that I don't wrap with wire is the kite, and that's because of the design. It holds itself together.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Okay.
But wire is always your best bet. It takes a few extra minutes, but again, Lena, you never have to worry about it coming apart.
Yeah, and repairs, you don't want to take it back in for a
Repairs
repair. They're hard.
are good. Yeah.
Okay, Augustine Machine wants to know, recommended material for garden stakes. I've wondered if music wire would work, or should it be brass?
You should probably use copper for garden stakes. Yeah, you should probably use copper, or what you can do also is your local welding shop has brazing rods, and they come in a variety of diameters. So yeah, I would probably, if you're looking for a garden stake, I would use brazing rods, because they're brass. They'll solder really nice, and they come in a variety of diameters depending on the weight of your garden piece. That's a good question, everybody, because your local welding shop carries all that stuff, and if it's brass, it'll solder. Just remember, it has to get hot, and it absorbs heat, so don't touch the other end when you're done, because it's going to be hot too.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Pam wants to know, does one have to zinc frame a 12 by 12 piece if it will be put in a wood frame?
No, just use your 3/8 lead around the outside of it, and then use your wood frame, put it in there around that, and
If
it
it's
should be
copper
fine.
foil, just
use the smaller wood, of course.
and if it's copper foil, you just finish the edge like you would finish the edge normally,
Right.
and just put it in the frame.
That's a good question, everybody, because you want to be able to, you want everything to look nice. And when you order your wood, they do make a wood that's specifically for copper foil to fit inside of it. So that's really good. And it's only a 1 inch wide, which is very low profile. It looks great on small windows.
Yes. Bacon aficionado wants to know, how do I know when my cutting wheel is finally shot?
Wow. Typically the only reason that your cutting wheel would get shot, well, of course, if you shot it, but if you dropped it on the floor. If your cutter has dropped on the floor, what you want to do is you want to take and just use a piece of like just regular window glass, and you want to take your cutter and put the pressure on it that you normally do and score it. If while you're scoring it goes click, 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 it sounds like a flat tire on your car, and then it's possible that your cutter head could be shot. But this cutter head has been on this cutter for 20 years. And in 20 years, y'all, I have cut a lot of glass. And I use this cutter not only for cutting art glass, but I cut tabletops with it and mirrors and everything else. So I'm not real sure how your cutter wheel wears out, because what they do, I call it, they get dull. And the more
might be dirty.
It could, yeah, they could be dirty. So that I was getting to that. That's the
I'm
next
sorry.
thing. That's the next thing. You have more than one reason that your cutter is messing with your head.
I was just looking at yours.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We have a video, Bacon aficionado, and if you look in that little groove right there where the wheel pin goes, if you look through there and you can't see daylight, the only thing that's wrong with your cutter is it needs to be cleaned. It has absorbed all of the desiccant and dirt and all that dust from you cutting glass with it, that the wheel is having trouble, and no amount of oil you put on it is going to help. It's going to get stickier and gunkier. But if you'll take a pin, a straight pin that would come out of a shirt, or you would come out of a sewing kit, and put it underneath the wheel in that groove, and actually, if I had a needle, I could probably clean mine tonight and show you the filth in it, because I cut glass all last week with it, and I know I don't always take the time to clean the glass thoroughly like I should.
Yeah, the desiccant from, if you bought any new glass, you might have got a little bit of desiccant in your
Right. Let me look.
in
I'm
your
just going to
cutter.
look over here and see if I.
Okay,
have
look over
something.
there. Have it. Okay, you still
Yeah.
talking on that? I
Yeah.
won't go to the next question.
Okay, let's go to the next one. But I just want, when you clean that cutter out, and we do have a video, and I tell you, Bacon aficionado, if probably, I imagine we'll get ready to pop that video up on how to clean your cutter head for you, and then you can take a look at that and get the pin that I recommend to use to go in between it. But it'll show you. If I did it right here on this white paper, we would have just like little bits of trash, dirt, black dirt that would fall on this paper that would come out of my cutter head. So, yeah, just watch that video and you'll be surprised at how that'll help you.
Okay. Let's see. Next question. Okay. Jules said that she cleans her zinc with acetone and steel wool to help the solder stick, and we've talked about that.
Yeah, that's
before.
great. That's good. Yeah. So and then the other thing is if you'll heat it first, flux it, heat it, flux it again, and then solder it. It solders a lot better too. Zinc, y'all. Excuse me. Zinc has to be really hot to hold that solder. Just fluxing it and trying to solder it isn't going to work. You have to flux it, heat it, flux it again, and then usually it'll solder. But this is a great idea too. You can clean it with acetone. I don't know if you can wear gloves with acetone or not without them melting it. But be very careful, because acetone will be absorbed by your skin too. So
Yeah, good ventilation.
ventilation, y'all,
Yeah, it's bad
is
stuff.
imperative.
Okay.
Right.
Texas Tom said copper tubing from Home Depot for your outdoors stuff.
Okay, there you go.
That's what he uses or recommends.
No, that's a great idea. That's what I was saying. The copper tubing, because they make so many different sizes of it. The thing about the copper tubing is they make 1/4 inch water lines that you can that are very pliable and flexible. And then they make, you go up another size to 1/2-inch
I
copper.
love the plumbing department at Home Depot. It kind of
Get you
gets
going,
me
doesn't it?
going. Yeah. Yeah, they've got you think about all those products and other uses for them.
Yeah, and y'all just remember, anything copper or bronze or brass will solder. So you can use it in any of your projects.
Okay, do you like the Silberschnitt glass running pliers?
I love them. I keep them right here at home on my table because we'll be cutting glass tonight, and I'll be using these.
Pam wants to know what brand cutters we recommend, and we do have a whole video on the tools that we recommend.
Right, we do.
And we review all the cutters. So you might want to look at that. I don't think you'll have time to review all the cutters.
Not here.
We
Yeah,
use
not tonight, but
Toyo and Silberschnitt.
Silberschnitt. Yeah,
Those
we
are
use
the
Toyo
two-
and Silberschnitt.
Two cutters that we use.
And if we really get in a pinch and I'm in the truck and I don't have a cutter, I always have a Fletcher in the glove box.
There you go.
I don't like to get it out, but if I need it, it's always in the glove box wrapped up in a towel so it doesn't rust and pit.
Should there always be something between the glass and wood frame? Well, it depends. Are you talking about an exterior application?
The application of the stained glass, should there always be something outside of that in order to fit in the wood? The answer to that question would probably be yes.
If it's exterior
If it-
installation.
Yes. And
Or
if you
door.
want to, if you're going to do it and put it in a frame, yeah, you definitely want to make sure you have an edge on it for sure. If you're going to install it in a home, you always want to try to at least put a piece of protective glass in front of it. I make sure I do that a lot on side lights because it's inevitable. You could have the prettiest door in the world and put a sign on it that said knock, but they would knock on your stained glass in the side light. So I always put a piece of protective glass in front of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we were going to talk about community, and I had a message. Oh, what'd I do with it? From Alan. I am Alan. And
Hey.
he was talking about, we were, last time talking about community, and we kind of let everyone know what we would be doing this week. And I am Alan had a great idea.
Spoke to him on the phone.
Yeah, and then I spoke to him on the phone. But he recommended to join a Facebook page in your community and, oh gosh, I wish I could
Well, just let people know what
let
you
people
do.
know what you're doing. I had the whole thing here to read to you, and I misplaced it. But he had a great idea about joining groups on Facebook and that type of thing, and then reaching out to people that are in your community in the stained glass.
And sharing.
And
You
share.
know, invite somebody to your studio and or someone that does stained glass and go to their studio and introduce yourself to them and meet them. Because you know what? There's plenty of room for everybody out there. And everybody does something differently.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
sometimes you need that extra encouragement and support. You're working on a project, and even though they're not a stained glass artist, when you start meeting other artists, you realize that they have the same challenges and problems that you do,
Just not the same medium.
just not the same medium. So
Yeah.
that's why it's really important to have a strong community support system. But that's
And go find them. Introduce yourself at art shows, all kinds of stuff. There's so many ways that you can meet people and get ideas and become friends. There's a lot of things that can happen within your community.
You can also share resources. You can share tools. You can share books.
Right.
You can share what you learn on the internet. These are all ways that, having a community is important.
And if we help you, you could send them over to our channel and tell them to watch the ARTyRV channel. And because you do, And we appreciate that as usual.
Yep, yep. Okay, I have a couple more questions
Okay, Barb, let's
here.
get some questions.
Let's see here.
I got a pretty piece of glass from
What?
Magali tonight that I'm gonna cut up.
He's
Get
teasing
ready.
you. He's teasing you. Okay, what fume trap would you suggest for exhausting the fumes while soldering? We have one on our Amazon
on our
page.
Amazon page.
Yeah, we have a fume trap there.
And they work really well, because they pull the fumes away from you. And if you're getting a lot of fumes when you're soldering, you're probably using the wrong flux, because that is like crazy dangerous. And what you want to do is maybe, if you're using a paste flux, they usually smoke and spit and sputter quite a bit. And you definitely need a fume trap for that. I use, what's the name of that fan that I have?
Dyson.
A Dyson. I have a Dyson fan in my studio, and I put it up on the table while I'm working. So the filter's there, and that's pulling all that in. But then the fan's blowing all the way down to the other end of the shop where the door is.
Out the door.
Out the door. Shoo, goodbye. So anyway, but guys, keep in mind, when you're working in your studio, please get your ventilation right. If you're soldering and the tip of your tongue starts to burn, you don't have the correct ventilation in your studio.
Yeah. And you don't want to solder that smokes and fumes.
Oh,
because
definitely.
the most dangerous part of soldering is
The fume
the fumes from the,
The lead
well, not
and
the
the tin
lead,
and the solder and the flux.
flux.
It
flux,
creates a potpourri,
a potpourri
of danger.
toxicity.
Yeah, toxicity. Yeah, there you go, Barb.
Okay. Well, y'all know that, right?
Right.
Just get a good one. We have one on our Amazon page if you'd like to look at
If
that
you need
one.
a fume trap, though, the one on our Amazon page is the one on the market and the one that's in our studio. So,
We got a lot of good ideas. And I Am Alan said most neighborhoods have a Facebook page. So, yeah, start there and introduce yourself and say, hey.
The neighbors.
We're neighbors and I do stained glass.
right.
You'd be surprised how much people love it once you meet them. Carla says go to local stained glass shops, meet lots of folks there. And let's see, someone else had a good idea. Where was
Well, like I said, again, Barb, there's plenty out there for everybody. And
your local art gallery? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the more people you meet, the more ideas you can get, the more ideas you create, and then the friendships that are lasting, absolutely lasting.
Okay. Magali says she needs to come up and take away all your iridized glass that you keep cutting up since you don't need it.
I cut Magali, I just cut little pieces.
He's not.
I just cut little
He's
pieces,
not
but I will
happy.
show you this. This is a spectrum peach. This is really pretty. Look at this. This is like a flesh tone. It's a spectrum peach, and I say it's spectrum because it is. It's not a.
It's vintage
It's
spectrum.
vintage. That's right. Vintage. That's the word, Barb. It's definitely not. It's not Oceanside. This is vintage spectrum glass, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is the pearl. This is the pearl iridized.
And we'll be cutting that tonight.
We're
And
gonna
then you have a
strip-
piece of what? What else?
I brought just a simple little piece of Wismac here. This has a little bit of, this is a purple streaky that we just used to repair a lamp with, and I had a little bit left over, so I thought I would share and so you can listen to the sound of a cathedral glass and a streaky versus an iridized. And then, of course, we also brought a really pretty, where is it? This green here. I think I shared this with y'all last week, but it's so pretty. And if those of you that enjoy building birds like parrots and things like that, like the photograph that's in the startup screen, you guys, this is a wonderful glass to use that for. So But yeah, we'll be cutting up some glass in a little bit, Barb.
Yeah, Low Carb wants to know what brand flux we use.
We use Ruby Flux.
Ruby Flux, and
Ruby
it's on
Flux.
our Amazon
Right.
page, and it doesn't fume, smoke.
It doesn't smoke. You only need to use what you need. You don't need to gob it on. Hey guys, if you're soldering and you're boiling your your flux, while you're soldering, you're using too much flux. That's all. And if you're getting little air pockets and bubbles that pop up inside your solder as you go by, you're using too much flux. So cut back on your flux. Your soldering will change, which means your frustration will change, and then your life changes.
Yeah, you need just enough solder to do the job, but you don't want to float that solder.
And you want just enough flux. You don't want to flux the whole thing.
Right, just enough
flux what
flux.
you're going to do it, and flux another spot and move
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to flood it
No, definitely not.
because then you got to clean it up.
Right.
Okay.
Well, in copper foil, you take such a chance of it if your foil's loose,
Yeah.
and if you're working too hot, y'all, your foil will lift up on the edges, and then the flux gets underneath of there. And if you're wondering what that little bit of rust looking is, the next day it's your flux that's sitting under the copper foil. So be real careful with it, guys.
Okay, Ray put up the link for the glass cutter and the smoke absorber.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ray. So those are there. Do you want to do a glass cutting demo?
Yeah, we can cut this right here. I love this glass right here. I think we can. It should show up pretty well too. Oh, look at that.
Isn't that perfect?
So this is a Wismac. It's a purple streaky. I don't have a part number for you. I just found this in the shop in the back because we're getting our glass racks all ready, and this piece happened to be broken. But so I'm gonna take my square. I'm gonna get my silver schnitz out, everybody. There they are, right there. Whoops. There we go. You can see that they're silver schnitz. And remember, these rubber grips here, they are changeable. So you can take that right out just like that, and there's where it goes. And you can order these, and they'll send you brand new ones. Some time ago, I stuck a screwdriver in mine to get it out, and messed it up. And then before I said I messed it up, I told somebody else to use a screwdriver. But you know what I did? When they did that, I sent them a new set of tips because I messed their silver schnitz
Who was
up.
that you did that?
Texas Tom.
Oh, Texas Tom. Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
You
Yeah.
forgave us, didn't you?
Yeah, you say anyway. So we're going to use our silver schnitz. We're going to use our square. I'm a big fan of the square because this piece of glass is 12 inches long, top to bottom, and you can see that it's really kind of crooked and diving off. But y'all remember, when we're cutting glass, it just takes enough pressure to depress the head. That's it, right there. I depress that head, and we're going to come up, and here we go. Here we go. I'm going to do this sideways so we can see the whole start to finish. Here we go. Ready? So hold your square tight. Depress the head. And cut your glass. So remember, with your silver schnitz, the round plug is on the bottom and the rectangle is on the top. And we're going to go set our round plug in the center and push down and run the glass just like that. So, wow, that really looked good. You could see the run going down the glass.
That was good, yes.
So y'all, this is what I mean by, watching the run. You can start the run, and then you can take your grousers and you can chase the run.
Good. Can you go that way? Yeah.
Because that's what I mean. It doesn't. You see what I'm saying? I can leave it like that if that's what you want. That's fine. Just like that. So we squared that up. We're going to take this. And this time I'm going to take my grousing pliers, I like to go in about 1/4 of an inch. And I'll put my knuckle underneath, just like that. And I'm going to pull down and away. Now remember, I'm just holding the glass with my grousing pliers. I'm using my right hand to pull down and away. I'm just holding the glass. It's so much easier to break the glass that way by holding it as opposed to, and so we can see this whole thing. Let's just do this, get rid of that. So we'll just take this and pull down and away, just like that. So now when I put my square on here, you can see the whole piece of glass now. And when we're working with a piece that's too long, you can't see half of what's going on. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna cut this one more time. Actually, let's just cut this so that we can hear it. Now this has a lot of seeds in it on top, but here we go. So we're gonna start this with our running pliers. Start. Okay, so, oh man, you can see the run right there, and I stopped it right there. If I squeezed it any harder, it might go around that curve, but I'm kind of doubting it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop in with my grozers. I'm going to put it right directly behind. See it? Directly behind the run. I'm going to pull down. And I just chased it. You see it? This is chasing the run. It's right here. I need to go behind that. If you get in front of it, it's going to make it much more difficult for the glass to break correctly. So I'm getting behind my run. See it? I'm right at the edge of it. And now I'm going to pull down and away. And that continued. That allowed us to get a nice clean break. And we were chasing the run so we could see what was going on. That's just a great way to learn how to cut glass and to pay attention to using your tools. We can probably even get this off of there. I don't know if we can or not, but we're going to try. So I'm going to bring this around. It's such a narrow piece. Here we go. We're going to start. Maybe it'll break, maybe it won't. So here we go. Right, direct, not on the end, because that's going to help us. It's going to hurt us. We're going to pull down. Oh, that's all right. Well, that it went all the way down, but then it broke when it got to the end there like that. So, and typically, y'all, just to remind you that you can only take off of the glass twice the thickness, which is pretty much this. This is 1/4 of an inch. So it's pretty easy to take that off, but you also have to be careful. So if we do that, we do a straight line. We take 1/4 of an inch off. And this is the minimum that we can take off of 1/8 inch glass is 1/4 of an inch. But if you're using,
Ouch!
I'm sorry. Did I hit you on the foot?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I get
That's
it.
okay.
I got it.
I got another one.
She's got another one. Let's use the other one. Hold on. So anyway, what I'm showing you is that so the thickness of the glass is 1/8, and you can typically take off twice what the thickness of the glass is in a strip. So that's really, I hope that helps you all out. And remember, guys, all you want to do when you're cutting glass is depress the head. Those of you that have a spring-loaded cutter, depress the head, and that's all the pressure you need. And then keep that pressure from start to finish so that everything will work for you. You know, the worst thing you can do is when you're cutting glass is to become frustrated. And if you do, guys, here's the thing. Set your cutter down, walk away, go get a glass of tea, put a song on, whatever you need to do. But that's how you should do it, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a beautiful glass. It's a Wismac. It's a streaky, and I love it.
Did you cut yourself?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's answer
Not
some,
yet.
let's answer some questions and then we'll cut the other piece.
Okay. How about
Okay.
that? Yeah.
All right.
Let's do that. Okay.
Okay, you in?
I'm in, babe.
Okay. All right, next question.
I don't know how I rolled away.
Oh, I do want to say, Jules said that she finds that a little bit of paper towel soaked with flux helps to limit the amount of flux.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because if you're dipping in a jar, and I don't think I have a brush here, but you know what I do is I take my flux brush and I cut it, get rid of all of it. I get rid of all of it but a 1/4 of an inch. That's
it
all the
just cuts
hair
all
I
those
have
little-
left out. It's stiff.
Cuts those little bristles off.
Right. So when you get that, you don't have a whole bunch of absorption, and it's much easier to control it. But your paper towel idea, Jules, that's awesome. That's right. Because what that's doing is it's limiting you to how much flux that you can pick up at one time. That's great. It's a great way to do it.
Another question.
Mm-hmm.
What's your perspective on using tallow instead of flux?
You know what? I've never used it, so I've seen the sticks, the callow sticks.
Sticks,
I've
yeah.
never used it. I don't know if it smokes or anything like that. I've
I
seen.
think when you use tallow, you have to use a pretty big fume
Fume arrestor.
extractor
Yeah.
because of the fumes. I think
Well,
you have
and
to
then
use the big one.
and it's
I'm
something.
not
So
sure.
and I've seen
And they
people use
use
it
that-
with no gloves on. It's like a stick of chalk.
Yeah, but don't they use that on the gas?
You know, I think I would
the
imagine
gas one-
on the gas soldering irons,
irons.
it's possible.
I think they use that on that.
Because I think, you
But
know,
try it,
I'm
see
not
if
sure.
you like
Try
it.
it. Yeah. I use Ruby Flux, y'all, and I've been using Ruby Flux for 38 years. And I don't deviate from it. They don't pay us to sponsor them, but if y'all want to know what I use Ruby Flux on everything.
What is your opinion of tapping to break?
It's okay, and after a while, it'll kind of wear on your nerves a little bit. But I will say this: what tapping does is it does start the run for you. But if you don't, get it straight underneath, which I can show you on this. If you don't tap it straight underneath the score, then you get a flare. And that flare will just eat you up if you're not careful with it. But, tapping it is fine. And you can chase the run by tapping it. But you have to remember, every time you tap that glass, so if your glass edge is like this and you tap it here, all of a sudden that edge goes like this. And then you tap it again, that edge goes back the other way. You have got to get your tap directly underneath the score in order for it to work correctly for you.
Yeah. It's not really the best way to break a score.
Typically, tapping is to start. That's it. That's what that ball on the end of that Fletcher cutter was for. Start your run and then continue to break it by hand or with other pliers. Yes.
Okay, here's another question. Joyce just ordered her smoke absorber.
Oh,
It'll
thank
be
you, Joyce.
Delivered tomorrow. Thank
Awesome.
you, Joyce. Okay, this person picked up a blue glass heavily rippled on one side for water. Flipped it over to put my pattern pieces on the smooth side. After cutting on smooth side, my pattern was opposite once rippled side up.
Right.
Right.
Great. Perfect.
No, it was opposite.
Oh, you got to flip your pattern over.
Just flip your pattern over.
Just turn your pattern so that the number, instead of the number being up, the number's down. And then when you flip the pattern, when you cut the glass and flip it over, it'll be the way you want it. And
Yeah.
you take advantage of your textures on your glasses, y'all. Whether you're doing copper foil or lead work. If you're doing cane work, all you do is flip the whole pattern over. And you're working on the light box. That's what I do. I just flip the whole pattern over. And then if you're using copper foil and you're cutting your pattern out by hand or with the razor blade trick or the scissors, whatever you're doing, just make sure that if you want the texture to be up, flip the pattern. Oh, put your pattern down. That's an easy way to remember it. Mm-hmm. Texture up, pattern down. Because you number it from one side, and that's the upside.
Right.
Right?
But if you're doing copper foil, you just flip
it
that
over.
pattern over.
Yep.
You don't have to do it for the straight ones, just for the pattern pieces that you have to cut out.
That's right.
Okay.
Brush
Let's
here.
see. Texas Tom said, if you get frustrated in your studio, it's not good to throw stuff.
Absolutely not, Tom.
Sounds like maybe you learned that. Okay. Yeah, we don't do that. We try not to anyway.
I haven't
Magali
thrown
says,
something in a while.
no, I haven't either. I don't even know if I've ever thrown anything. Have I?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't know. Not that I know of.
You always
Not
say
that I
you've
remember.
said to me before, don't throw that.
Not that I remember. Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about, but I'm not bleeding. I see a little blood right there.
Yeah, I
but
don't
I'm
know
not
what that's
bleeding.
from.
Because y'all, if I spring a leak, even a little tiny one, it just goes crazy. So it must be something that I'll cover it up. There you go.
Rochelle says she goes outside to throw stuff. And
There
she's
you
been
go.
known to cuss a blue streak. Now I have been known to
Mm.
say some bad words. But
Yeah.
that's... What are you laughing
No,
at?
I'm looking at what Rochelle put on the little
I
green
know.
box with the.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, that's
funny.
cute. Is that emoji? Is that what that
That's
is?
an emoji.
Emoji.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm learning, guys.
Okay, Denise says, I'd like to do more intricate cutting and would like your opinion on saws, ring saws. Thanks in advance.
Well,
Maybe some people here that use a saw
yeah,
can give some advice because we don't use a saw.
we don't use a saw. I'm sorry. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with using a saw, okay? But I just don't use it. I enjoy the challenge of cutting.
Yeah.
I enjoy the challenge of cutting.
And with
And
what
I
we
learned something.
with what we do, it would take more time to set up that saw and cut because we cut like big sheets of glass and we cut pieces. We're not cutting
little tiny pieces.
intricate pieces because we're building big windows.
But even if we were cutting intricate pieces, I use my glass
does,
cutter.
he
I don't.
does.
People come in our studio all the time, and you know what they're looking for? A saw, and you won't find one in my shop.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing against if you use a saw. Awesome. Here's your saw. The person that asked that question,
Mm-hmm.
your saws are going to run you about $500 or $600, and the Taurus ring saw, from what I understand, is probably the best on the
Ring
market.
3. Karen
There you
uses.
go. There's all your. Hey, Karen, I'm glad you made it home safely today, hon. Sorry we missed you.
Texas Tom uses his only for really hard deep curves. Yeah.
Right.
So, for those specialty, hard curves,
Sure.
I can see.
And
where
there's
that
nothing
might-
wrong with it. It would probably be sometimes quicker for me to use a saw to cut that one particular cut for that one window. But y'all, while I'm cutting that piece of glass out for that window, I am learning something. And it's going to help me the next time I cut something just like it. So I'm all for it.
Lena has a ring saw, but rarely uses it. Yeah, we find that a lot of people will buy one, and with the time that it takes, unless you're using it every day,
Right.
with the time that it takes to set it up,
Track it.
and get it just set up just right, you probably won't use it too much. If you're going to get it to use it every day, buy one.
Right.
That's my opinion, my personal opinion.
Yeah. If you're going to use it every day, then it's something. But you know what? You're not learning anything about cutting glass other than
Well,
that
you're
ring saw
learning-
works really good.
You're learning how to use the saw.
Learning how to use the saw. Right.
Okay. Let's see. And Ray, he uses the Taurus ring saw too.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
Ray's work is beautiful, and so is Texas Tom's, and so is a lot of other people
And
here in the
Karen.
chat. Karen's work is beautiful. Of course, we've been watching Karen grow. She's really.
Magali. We got
and
a lot
Magali.
of really
We got a lot of
great
really
people here.
talented people.
Joyce, Carla, and
All of
there
y'all,
is-
guess what? I'm going to give you a thumbs up because all of y'all are very talented artist. And we appreciate y'all tuning into us on Monday nights and sharing what you do for, whether it's for a living or for a hobby. We
I have to
appreciate
go
it.
up through this because I am missing some people here. I want to
Okay.
make sure I got all the questions.
Michael, did you get Michael's question?
Which one? I think he,
Yeah, you got that one. Okay.
okay. Have I got all the questions? Let me know, and we'll move to a glass cutting. Okay.
Ray, I don't know if you can hear Miss Mary, but she's enjoying that treat you sent her.
Okay. Why don't you give us another glass demo?
Okay, Magali, sit down.
Sit down, Magali.
She is.
There you go. Isn't that pretty?
Isn't that a beautiful piece of glass, you guys? Woo! That makes me smile. Yeah, so this is the pearl this is a cream color, and it looks like this on white and the peach. And that's, because of the background color that the chemical is sprayed on. That is what makes it look like this mother
She's
of pearl.
crying now.
No, she's not.
Yeah, she
Can't
is.
be. Anyway, just look at how beautiful that is. And then when you take and you're going to just take, this is when you trace your pattern out on here. Look how it shows up. When you trace that pattern out, it shows up so nice. Oh, let's see. Somebody wanted to know what other glass cutters that I like to use. Let me get my Silver Schnitt 2000 out. Let's try that one tonight. Oh no, you know what? A 4000's on top. We're going to try the 4000 tonight. So I keep four different cutters here at the house. This one stays in my pocket all the time, from the time I get up to the time I come home, and then it goes on my dresser. That one stays in my pocket. This is our Silver Schnitt 4000. I'm sharing this with you because I really like this cutter. It is, to me, it's because it's a new cutter, it's still hot. It's not something that I would go cut a bunch of intricate pieces with right now. I would use it a little bit before I started doing intricate cuts with it. But we are going to cut this, and remember now, we're going to depress our head, and that camera shows that really well. See that? We're going to depress our head, and then you see the grooved area right here. What that does is it takes the place of my copper foil and solder. This gives your index finger, somewhere to hold on to. So we're going to take this, and you're not going to hear this score. Oh, there it goes. And that's all I did, was depress the head, and we're going to Did you hear that? We've started our run. Here we go. We're going to drop in behind this. We're going to try and pull this around and chase it off without it breaking. But it's liable to break just because.
You're not going to try from the other end?
I'm going to. I just wanted to get that started right there. And we just started it again. So now we've got a run to about, I'm sorry. There we go. We've got a run to about right here. And now this runs to about right here. So now we're going to come in and we're going to try and pull this. We're going to pull this down and try and get this to go around here if we can. Here we go. Oh. All right, so let me tell you exactly why that happened. So when I'm pulling down here, it went around here, and before I could stop it in my hand and quit pulling down, this is its weakest point right here. So when I pulled down too hard, there's no way, okay, absolutely no way possible for this to come around here and go up here. There's just no way for it to do that. You're asking the glass to do something that it's not designed to do. So when this happens to y'all, what you do is you have to get that run a little bit more and be a little more fragile with it and take your time. So I'm not sure that even this one will run around here, but we're gonna try it. There we go. So I've got it started. Now I'm going up with my, there we go.
And so that's the piece you wanted anyway, right?
Right here, yeah.
Okay.
So, but what I'm showing you guys is that it will go around, but it's not gonna, when it goes down, it's not going back up. It's physically impossible for it to do that. Now, the viewer that was talking about, and we may be able to do it with this. Let's do this. Here we go. Are you in the camera? We're good? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to make my my arches so steep, okay? But what I am going to do is I'm going to start my run, and hopefully it won't run all the way across because my my inside curves are not steep. Here we go. Let's try it. Okay, so it ran like that. All right. So now what I'm going to do, now that we have a run, if you look at the head or you can see my score right there in the center of that ball. So the viewer that wanted to ask about tapping, here we go. This is how you can chase a run tapping. Okay? Be ready to catch it. But
Then it falls on the table.
But now no, that's fine. Then it falls. This is the piece I wanted, and then it falls on the table. But what I want to show you, okay? Everywhere that I tapped the back of the glass, okay, two things happened. Number one, hopefully you heard the pitch change. As that pitch changed, I knew the run was moving. But every time I tapped it, let me get my little black marker here, and maybe y'all can see this. Each time I tapped it, there's a flare, a flare, a flare, right there. Those are flares. They're like sharp as razors. And each time that I tapped the glass, it created that flare. So guys, there's nothing wrong with tapping the glass, but be careful because when it does come off, you're gonna have these flares here. And you just wanna make sure you clean them up. And a simple way to clean them up is just like this. You take your grousing pliers with the curved jaw on the bottom and go on about 1/4 of an inch and pull up. Just like that. And that eliminates that flare. Now I can run my fingers right across there with no problem. And it doesn't hurt me. Okay? So just a simple little gig about tapping. And when you're tapping, listen for the sound because that pitch will change as the glass runs across the score. Okay? I hope that helps everybody. Does it? Maybe?
I think so. I have a couple more questions.
I'm gonna save that for you, Magali.
You have to come back.
You gotta come back.
Okay. Let's see. I have a couple more questions. What's the difference between the 2000 and the 4000 Siebelschnitt?
Hang on, I'll show you. I guess we'll go back. I was trying to get off the close-up, but we'll get back to the close-up camera, Barb. Let me grab my 2000, okay? So, and actually, it's very simple to explain to you the difference between the 2000 and the 4000. The 2000 has a fixed head. Mm-hmm. It doesn't depress and it doesn't swivel. It's a great glass cutter for cutting borders, straight lines, and actually, hang on, I got one here somewhere. Hold on, I got it in here somewhere, guys. Here it is. So if you like I'm sorry, huh? If you like the glass cutter that has the depressed head, the Toyo. The silver snit, I think, is comparable but better. The reason I say that is because of the way. I'll show them the difference in between the two. It's a pretty piece.
I'm trying to find the question. Someone said they had a hard time holding one of them, and I'm not sure which one.
Probably the 4000, because the 2000, y'all, has an index rest on it. See that? That has an index rest. This also takes the place of my copper foil and solder. It's the same thing.
It was Joyce. The 4000, having trouble holding it. She was using a pistol grip, so it is kind of
going to be
different.
Different. Now this is. Hang on, let me put these in the right box because I'll get them mixed up. And I'll show you a 2000 for a 4000 and a 4000 for a 2000. Let's set that in there. So it was Joyce.
Yes.
Hey Joyce, thanks for tuning in tonight, hon. So yeah, if you're used to a pistol grip, this is the best way that I've found to hold this particular cutter. Number one, I put the screw head in the back because that allows that angle to be facing me and coming towards me. So what I'll do is I'll take this cutter, I'll lay it right here in my thumb area. My middle finger goes on the head itself. My index finger encompasses all of these grooves. And what that does, Joyce, is it gives me what I need to keep the same amount of pressure from start to finish. This up here, when you're using this cutter, Joyce, the only thing you're using are the same wrist motions that you were using with the pistol grip. Except you're gonna find you're gonna use about this much more of your forearm muscles holding this. You'll feel it up here. If you put the one in your hand and the other one, you'll feel when you're holding the brass handled cutter that you're using these muscles a little bit further north on your arm in your arm area. Okay, so we just did that score. We couldn't hardly hear it on this one, and we're gonna we'll just get these cut up. But I think that Joyce, if you're having troubles with it, just give it a little bit more time, and there's your hold on it, just like that. So it looks like that sideways. Because in the past you're not holding the touching the cutter head. And when you're not touching the cutter head, then you're only using from your wrist down, which is with the pistol grip cutter. But now, because we're using this, we're going to depress the head. And you see that right there? So this keeps this straight. This only swivels a little bit. Doesn't swivel anywhere near the amount of a pistol grip cutter. Those things drive me crazy. So I just take this, I'll hold it right here on top, push down. This is how I depress it. And then this is how I guide it. Just like that. We'll go back. We'll start right here. I'm going to show you all that. You see that? Watch. If you're trying to break a piece of glass and it won't break, turn your pliers over. And I promise you, it'll break. So if you've got your running pliers upside down and don't realize it, and the simplest ones to get messed up are these, except if you don't have the mark on the top of them. But your silver snits, all you have to remember is that round pad right there is your bottom, and your rectangle pad is your top. So again, guys, the difference between the 2000 and the 4000 is only about $6, but I prefer for pattern cutting the 4000.
And what is the price difference between this and the Toyo?
Comparable.
They're about the same
They're
price.
about the same. what you have, here's the thing. This is the dimensions right here, guys. Look, check that out. The Toyo is a little bit longer. The cutter head's the same length, but the brass component is a little bit longer.
And it looks like, is the Toyo wider? The head wider?
Just a hair, yeah, about a 32nd of an inch. It's not much, but it is wider. Here, oh, I'm sorry. There you go.
Okay.
It's a little bit wider. Y'all, here's the thing.
And two, this goes
in the back.
in the back.
Yeah.
That might be the problem.
Well,
The joist.
yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with the cutter moving, but it's more comfortable. And the other thing is, too, yeah, Joyce, if you have this angle facing away from you, then your cutter cannot go down at all without stopping, skipping, or being in the wrong position. But if you'll do it like this and you'll put this in, look how far I like my cutter. Let me lay it down.
So screw side down on that cutter, guys.
Screw side down. But the other thing is if the screw side isn't down, you can't tilt your cutter. You have to leave it straight up and down. If the screw side is back towards you, you can lay it down. And I like to roll at about 60 degrees. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with keeping your cutter straight up and down and perpendicular to the glass. But I prefer to be comfortable, okay? And most of the time, when you're cutting glass and you're having trouble with it, most of the time it's not your cutter, it's the cutee.
Not the cutter.
It's not the cutter, it's the cutee.
Okay.
So what we want to do is, I like all of these cutters. The Toyo, the Silversnit, and the Silversnit 4000 and the Silversnit 2000. The most impressive part about both of these cutters here, y'all, is they're manufactured in Germany. And we all know the German machinists are sticklers for everything to work correctly. So this is it. Silversnit, thanks for the cutter. I love it.
Okay, we did have a question how you built that up on your Toyo. Simple.
Carefully.
Copper foil.
Yeah. Go ahead, Barb. Tell them. You know how to do it.
Copper foil tape. And then solder. And you have to solder in a circle.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of, so my cutter, so what I did is I took 7/32 copper foil and I wrapped it around like to make the width of this right here, like maybe 3 or 4 wraps. Then I fluxed it. Now remember, guys, if you're gonna solder your brass cutter. When it gets hot, it gets hot. It's just not gonna get hot here. It's gonna get hot here. It's gonna get hot here. So use a glove when you're working with it. And then what we want to do, we're already 12 minutes over. Miss Mary's done with her treat. Anyway, guys, so let's finish this. Let's wrap it with copper foil, and then take and layer the solder gently around it until you get a nice big even bead around it, and then
Come on.
and then try and heat it up, and then just kind of smush it down a little bit.
Say hello to everybody. Or say goodbye to
say
everybody.
Say goodbye to everybody. Say good night, everybody. We love you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, Joyce said she put the screw side down, and it's the cutty that's creating all the problems.
Well, that's okay, hon. You know what,
It's okay.
Joyce? It's all right. It's good. It's all good. So, hey, Miss Mary's ready to go. I don't know where she's going, but she's ready. So for the ARTyRV channel, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We love you, and we appreciate everything that you do. And remember, I'm Ed.
And I'm Barb.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Good night. And let me see if I can find the right. Now we need the ending.